Well, if you are a Caitlin Clark fan, if you're an Indiana Fever fan, this is something you already know. However, for the haters out there, the old WNBA fandom, many of you call them the Slows.
It started as just another podcast episode, but halfway through, Sophie Cunningham said something that shook the entire WNBA. Calm voice, confident tone. She dropped a line that instantly went viral. The next team I play for, I want a bigger contract so I can buy a house and get all cozy. It sounded harmless at first, but anyone paying attention knew exactly what that meant. This wasn't a random comment. It was a message, a clear sign that Sophie Cunningham, one of the Indiana Fever's most valuable players, may already have one foot out the door, and for Caitlin Clark fans, for anyone who believes in what she's building in Indiana, that's a terrifying thought. Cunningham's statement hit social media like a thunderclap. Within hours, fans, insiders, and analysts were dissecting every word. Was she hinting at leaving? Was it a negotiation tactic? Or was it a goodbye disguised as casual talk? For the old-school WNBA crowd, it was business as usual. But for the new wave, the Caitlin Clark generation, it felt like a warning sign that something inside the Fever organization is broken. Caitlin Clark has transformed the WNBA, drawing more eyes, more money, and more fans than anyone before her. But no superstar can win alone, and losing a cornerstone player like Cunningham could send everything spiraling backward. The moment those words left Sophie's mouth, shockwaves ripped through Indiana. Inside the Fever's camp, silence. No immediate statement, no reassurance, no denial. And that silence spoke volumes, because Sophie isn't just another player. She's the glue that holds the Fever's chemistry together. She's the bridge between veteran leadership and youthful energy. So when fans heard her hint at leaving, they didn't just worry about losing a shooter. They worried about losing the soul of the team. Behind the scenes, people close to the organization describe growing frustration, financial tension, confusing roster moves, and players questioning management's long-term vision. And now, this bombshell has reopened every wound. For Caitlin Clark, the implications are massive. She came into the league not only to play, but to build something lasting, a new era of women's basketball that could finally rival the attention of the NBA. But when your teammates start looking for the exit, the dream starts to crack. Fans are already asking, how do you build a dynasty if your key players feel undervalued? How do you convince the next generation to stay loyal when management won't? It's not just about money. It's about respect, recognition, and stability, the foundation of every great franchise. And right now, that foundation in Indiana is trembling. To understand the true weight of this situation, you have to understand who Sophie Cunningham really is. She's not a flashy superstar or a headline chaser. She's the type of player every winning team quietly depends on, the one who does everything right even when nobody's watching. Last season, Sophie posted a 63% true shooting percentage, one of the best in the league. She shot over 43% from three-point range, not just occasionally, but at high volume. She defends, she hustles, she sacrifices her own numbers to make everyone else better, especially Caitlin Clark. That kind of selfless role player is pure gold in professional basketball. Because Caitlin Clark's game depends on space. She thrives when shooters stretch the floor, when defenders are forced to guard every inch. Sophie gave her that breathing room, that rhythm, and defensively, she's one of Indiana's most reliable perimeter players. She's not just solid, she's strategic. She reads passing lanes, rotates fast, and brings a physical edge that Clark doesn't have to worry about handling herself. Together, they clicked. They found a rhythm few duos find this early. So when Sophie hints that she might be done, It's not just a contract issue. It's a chemistry crisis. Losing her would mean Caitlin Clark has to start from scratch, adjusting her entire offensive flow, rebuilding trust with new faces, and carrying even more of the load. This isn't a minor roster shuffle. It's a potential fracture in the very system the Fever have been trying to build. Inside the Fever's locker room, something had shifted long before Cunningham's cryptic post. Whispers began to circulate among players, assistants, and even trainers. Whispers that Caitlin's arrival, while groundbreaking for the league, had created unintended tension. Some veterans reportedly felt overshadowed, watching as every headline, every camera, and every fan question revolved around Caitlin. Sponsorship banners changed. Media days became Clark days. Even halftime interviews focused on her, not the team. At first, Sophie Cunningham played it cool. She publicly praised Caitlin, calling her a game changer and a competitor you'd always want on your side. But behind the scenes, that harmony was breaking apart. Sources close to the team describe moments of heated exchange in practice. Some say Caitlin's competitive fire clashed with veterans who had spent years earning their place, now suddenly feeling like background characters in their own story. For Sophie, who had built her image on toughness and loyalty, the shift felt personal. And when she hinted at not recognizing the culture anymore, fans knew something inside the Fever had fractured. The moment Sophie's post hit social media, it was like lighting a match in a gasoline field. Her words, "I'll always love the game, but not what it's turning into," spread like wildfire. Within minutes, fans were divided. Some claimed she was calling out the WNBA's favoritism toward Caitlin Clark, accusing the league of turning a team sport into a one-woman marketing campaign. Others defended Clark, saying she was the reason the league had record attendance and million-dollar sponsorships. Hashtags like #UseFreeSophie and Protect Caitlin began trending simultaneously. The fan base was at war, not over basketball, but over the soul of the sport. Then came the analysts. Podcasts, YouTube breakdowns, and ESPN panels dissected every frame of Sophie's interviews, every like and retweet. Even former players started chiming in. One retired WNBA star said, "This isn't about Caitlin. It's about control. The league finally found its cash cow, and it's protecting her at all costs." That single comment sent shockwaves through the community. Was Sophie punished for speaking out? Was her exit orchestrated to protect the league's new golden star? No one could say for sure. But what everyone agreed on, the WNBA was no longer playing just basketball. It was managing a narrative. Through all the chaos, one person stayed eerily quiet. Caitlin Clark. No posts, no interviews, no reaction, just silence. For weeks, her only public appearances were game-related. Her expression was professional, but her eyes often told a different story. Observers noticed subtle changes: less energy during team intros, quieter interactions with teammates, a forced smile during press conferences. Was it guilt, confusion, or just exhaustion from being in the center of a storm she didn't create? Insiders hinted that Caitlin was advised to stay silent. Let the noise die down. But that silence only amplified speculation. Fans who once adored her started questioning whether she was complicit in Sophie's ouster. Then, during one post-game interview, a reporter dared to ask about it. Caitlin paused, looked down for a moment, and said softly, "I just want to play basketball and help my team win." A simple line, yet fans dissected it for days. Was my team said with pride or hesitation? Had the culture changed so much that even Caitlin, the league's brightest star, felt trapped by her own success? That uncertainty marked a turning point. Because if even Caitlin Clark felt uncomfortable, then maybe Sophie's words weren't just bitterness. they were a warning. When Sophie Cunningham's silence turned into absence, the media machine went into overdrive. Mainstream outlets framed it as a routine roster move, but those who followed the WNBA closely knew something was off. Why did a high-profile player, loved by fans and respected by teammates, suddenly vanish without a clear statement from the team? Why did journalists who tried to ask deeper questions find their access quietly restricted? It was as if the narrative had been pre-written. Caitlin Clark's story, the rookie phenom saving the league, was too valuable to disrupt. A teammate publicly challenging that narrative? That was a threat. Behind the scenes, PR teams were working overtime. Every Fever press release subtly reinforced the same message: unity, optimism, and team growth. But fans noticed the contradictions. How could a team be united when one of its emotional leaders had seemingly walked away in frustration? Podcasters and independent journalists refused to let the story die. They analyzed body language, replayed locker room interviews, and even leaked fragments of internal emails that hinted at disagreements over leadership direction. The truth wasn't clear, but one thing was, the WNBA's public image was being carefully curated. Every highlight reel, every social post, every official statement was crafted not to reflect reality, but to control it. And in the middle of all that control, Caitlin Clark was trapped. When you strip away the marketing, the sponsorships, and the bright lights, a team's foundation is its trust. And for the Indiana Fever, that trust was breaking apart. Anonymous sources described growing frustration behind closed doors. Veterans felt unheard. Younger players felt anxious about speaking out. Coaches were walking a tightrope, balancing team chemistry while keeping league officials happy. Even simple moments, like team huddles or bus rides, started feeling colder. And Caitlin? She began to realize what Sophie might have meant. Success had come quickly. Record-breaking ticket sales, national headlines, even celebrity endorsements. But at what cost? The Fever, once united by struggle, now seemed divided by spotlight. A few players quietly questioned whether Caitlin's fame had become too much for one locker room to handle. Not because they hated her, but because the system around her had made everything about her. And if Sophie's exit had been a statement, it was starting to look prophetic. Because what she warned about, a culture losing its soul, was unfolding in real time. By the end of the season, the Fever's record was respectable, but the atmosphere was anything but stable. The press conferences grew shorter, the smiles faker, and the unspoken tension heavier. Fans started wondering, would Caitlin Clark even stay with Indiana long-term? If this was how the franchise treated its veterans, how long before their new star realized she was replaceable too? Analysts began speculating on possible trades, front office shakeups, even retirements. Some believed the WNBA might quietly push for roster restructuring to realign the team's image before the next season. Others feared something deeper, that the league's obsession with control would eventually destroy what made Caitlin's story so special in the first place. Authenticity. As one commentator said bluntly, you can't build a legacy on fear and silence. At some point, someone has to speak. And maybe that's where Sophie Cunningham's story wasn't just an ending. It was a beginning, a warning for every player who dreams of changing the game, but forgets that change often comes with a price. Because in today's WNBA, fame isn't freedom. It's a spotlight that burns, even the brightest stars. Months passed, yet the echoes of Sophie Cunningham's exit never really faded. Her social media remained quiet. No interviews, no new team announcements, nothing. Just silence, but silence can be powerful. Every time Caitlin Clark took the court, reporters whispered Sophie's name again. Every time a teammate looked frustrated or avoided eye contact on the bench, fans online replayed Sophie's last quote, "I'll always love the game, but not what it's turning into." That line had become legend, a ghost haunting the Fever's success story. Inside the league offices, executives doubled down on their PR efforts. More promotions, more Caitlin Clark effect headlines, more attempts to show unity. But unity cannot be manufactured. Fans saw through it. Attendance might have spiked, but authenticity was fading. People didn't just want to see three-pointers and highlight reels. They wanted to believe in teamwork, passion, and respect. And that's what made Sophie's silence hurt the most. It represented something bigger than her own career. It was the sound of a player standing up for principle. Even when it cost her everything, by mid-season, Caitlin Clark was at a crossroads, personally and professionally. The league had made her the face of the WNBA, but the pressure was crushing. She couldn't speak freely without headlines twisting her words. She couldn't play one bad game without social media exploding. She was no longer just a basketball player. She was a brand. And that's exactly what Sophie had warned about. When a game becomes a business first, the soul of sport begins to rot. Behind closed doors, some insiders claimed Caitlin began questioning her future in Indiana. Not publicly, not in interviews, but in quiet conversations with those she trusted. She wanted a team that believed in basketball first, not image management. One insider reportedly said, "Caitlin's learning fast that fame can isolate you faster than failure." Her relationship with certain teammates grew distant. Others supported her, seeing how the league's media circus was suffocating her. But even those closest to her admitted she seemed tired, mentally and emotionally. For someone who had dreamed of inspiring little girls to play the game, she was now realizing how lonely that dream could be when the system sees you as a product, not a person. Now, as the new season looms, the question isn't just what happens next for Caitlin Clark. It's what happens next for the WNBA itself. Can a league truly thrive when its brightest stars feel cornered by the very spotlight that's supposed to lift them? Can the Indiana Fever rebuild trust after losing not just Sophie Cunningham, but the unity that once defined them? Caitlin's next move will define the league's next chapter. If she stays, the Fever must evolve. Not just on the court, but in culture, in respect, and in transparency. If she leaves, it could trigger a reckoning across women's basketball, forcing fans and officials to ask whether the pursuit of fame has gone too far. As for Sophie Cunningham, her story lingers like unfinished business. She may be gone from the headlines, but her message remains written between every line of this drama. Play for love, not for control. And maybe, years from now, when the WNBA looks back at this turbulent chapter, the hype, the tension, the silence, they'll realize that Sophie wasn't just warning them, she was trying to save them. Because in the end, it was never just about one player or one team. It was about protecting the heart of the game itself. Sometimes, the loudest moments in sports aren't the cheers or the buzzer beaters. They're the silences. The moments when players walk away, when truth is whispered, not shouted. Sophie Cunningham's silence spoke louder than any headline, and Caitlin Clark's future may depend on whether the league finally decides to listen.
Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more dives into Hollywood's hidden history.